with you holding back and not sharing, it's really selfish. Like someone out there is waiting for you to speak, for you to share, for you to give your knowledge and insight. And pretty much whenever I go to post anything, I just say to myself, if this just helps one person, if one person is inspired by this post, or it changes the trajectory of their life or whatever, like that's my goal. Like just to help at least one person. And I can't do that if I don't put it out there and share. So just start, take messy action, and it will all come together.
Hi, loves. Welcome to I Start First podcast, the show for boss babes who start ideas, businesses, dreams, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Alinka Cullinan, founder of I Start First, speaker, author, and business coach, aka Queen of Pushing Boss Babes off the ledge. On this show, I chat with epic humans who are guaranteed to up-level your business and mindset. Are you ready to sparkle up? Let's go. Hi, ladies, and welcome to another episode of I Start First podcast. I don't know when you're going to listen to this, but we're recording this in a pretty chaotic time with everything that's happening, the world moving online. So I'm very, very excited to have a guest today who not only knows the digital world and has been running her own digital business, but she's been doing it for a while. So she's pretty much seen every version of what's possible. So I'm very, very excited to have Samantha Kozuch with us today. Hi.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so exciting. No, honestly, so excited. I mean, I love everything you stand for, everything you've done. So I do want you to share your story with them because, you know, it's been a journey.
Oh, it has been such a journey that starts almost like 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, which is so crazy to think back and really talk about it. But my journey did start when I was in college. I was actually going to school to go to med school. And during that time, I was studying physiology and chemistry and everything, learning a lot about the body. At the same time, this is me coming into college as an ex-athlete. I gave up multiple scholarships to just, do the college thing and have fun. And at that same time, had to relearn how to really train and work out on my own without a coach, without a team. So as I'm going to school to learn about the human body and help others heal, I'm also learning myself how to stay healthy and fit and all of that. So when I was going to school, I was faced with a couple different crossroads, which were really pivotal in my career and my life. And the first one was I was starting to face an inner conflict of, okay, I'm going to med school to, ultimately heal people, help people get better that are sick, etc. But at the same time, I was learning so many different holistic ways to be healthy. And a lot of those ways were used to, combat illness and getting sick. So I had that inner conflict of, okay, do you want to be a doctor doing the, once somebody is sick to help them get better with medications? Or am I looking at helping someone, work out, nutrition, etc., before they even get sick? Like that would be all the preventative things. So that was my first internal thing. But of course, I had parents that were like, I'm first generation. So I'm, my family's from Poland. And for my parents, it's like, one, I was the first one to go to college in my family. But two, the first child to like go to med school, like that was such a big deal. So I had a big push from my family to like continue going. So that was my first crossroads that I had to deal with. The second one was when I was in college, my parents were supporting me financially a little bit, but what kid doesn't want extra money for extra fun? So I got a couple jobs. So first one was working in a bookstore, which I absolutely hated. The boss, the owner of the store was an absolute, honestly, I want to say dick, and I'm sorry if I can't say that, but it was just hell.
You can say it's your show, girl.
It was awful. Like he, there was nothing worse than being told, not only being treated, because you're a student, so they took advantage of us working long hours. They told us when we could work, when we couldn't work. It was just awful. So at the same time of having that job, I started working as a bartender in a bar, at a college bar, which was so much fun because one, I was underage. I wasn't 21 yet, so I technically couldn't go out to bars. So working in that scene was amazing, great money. And then at the same time, I also got into modeling, and I was now working out and in the fitness scene. So that whole career kind of like started off there. So I learned two things there: work for somebody, get told what to do for minimum wage, or have this lifestyle of making really good money, having fun. Like making money didn't have to suck or be hard or, all of that. So that was another thing. So when you combine both of those situations as a young adult, I wasn't even 21 yet. When I'm graduating college, it's like, okay, internally, I'm like, I already knew what I had to do. I knew that I didn't want to go to med school. And I also knew I had this taste of entrepreneurship in a sense where I'm like, oh, I can decide how I make my money and, get jobs and random, do these things that I absolutely love and not hate my life. So that's when I decided, told my parents, not going to go to med school. I told them I was going to take a year off and figure it out, which, for anybody means, you're just appeasing your parents for the moment. They were still very upset. But I was like, that's what I did. And that's when I really had the fire under my ass, because at that point it was the unspoken rule of, okay, you're not going to med school. Well, we're no longer supporting you financially, so you need to figure it out. So they were probably hoping that I would be like, oh no, like I will go to med school. But I went the opposite direction. Like I'm that type A personality where I'm a go-getter. I've always been, that straight A student, that varsity athlete. Like I always had that drive to, accomplish things, not necessarily like be the best, but I had that mentality where it's like, okay, I can't fail because I've now said this out loud that I'm going to do something. So I'm going to do it. So that really propelled me forward into my entrepreneurship career. And then from there kind of rolled into everything that I've kind of accomplished moving forward. So we can chat a little bit more about that too.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean, yeah. And honestly, it's such kudos to you knowing that. I mean, even though you didn't know, I always joke about that. I'm like, we didn't even know the term entrepreneurship when a lot of us got started. We just realized that making money doesn't have to suck. I love that line. And ladies, if you're listening, this is so, so brilliant. I hope you're listening to what Sam is saying, because it is true. You don't have to, you're not designed to be in the soul sucking job. You're not designed to know that the only way you can provide for yourself has to be some regimented nonsense where you don't really have any passion doing that. So it is so, so important that you learned it and realized it so early on. But you did have a very pivotal moment too, when you went, being more in a fitness industry and then switching fully in working with digital. What prompted that?
So as I started, navigating this online space, I started on Instagram when it had just literally launched. Like I'm coming from the days of still being on MySpace, and, Facebook had just started when I was in college. So I just really started posting online things ultimately to reinvent myself. So when I was in high school, I was more of like a jock, an athlete. Like I wasn't popular or anything like that. I was just kind of like, one of those like basic girls. But when I got to college, I was like, okay, I can now reinvent myself. I can now like change what people's perceptions are. I'm meeting all these new people. Like I can like reinvent. So when I got into like the modeling and the fitness and everything, that's what I kind of started posting on Instagram and social media. And I kind of just did it just to do it. There was no influencers back then. There wasn't really anyone doing anything. Like really, like when you were turning to like fitness people or anything, you were turning to like the fitness magazines and stuff like that. No one was really a thing on social yet.
Yeah.
But I just kept doing it. And then people started asking me, hey, Sam, like, how do you get those abs? How do you work out? Like, can you show us more? And at the time on Instagram, there was no video component on it yet.
Right.
So what I did is I turned to YouTube, because I was following actually a lot of girls on YouTube at the time. That's how I learned a lot of my fitness things. So I basically, as I was working out, writing down my fitness protocols and then making videos for YouTube, just kind of like whatever, and putting them out there. Whenever someone would ask how I did something, I would send them the video. So I kind of just fell into doing it. But I was honestly, from a very early point, I was listening to what my audience wanted. It wasn't like, hey world, here it is, like, watch it or whatever. I was literally just creating things in response to what people wanted to see from me, which now looking back, I didn't even realize that's what I was really doing, but it worked, because as I grew in my fitness career, then the word influencer came around. I was already getting collaborations and sponsorships with brands long before that word was even a thing. And I just, from my entrepreneurial mindset, I'm like, I turned what I was doing into a business.
Yeah.
So my pivotal moment in going from fitness influencer to business coach happened probably within the last year and a half, 2 years.
Hmm.
And only because people started coming to me, DMing me, asking me, Sam, how did you grow your following? How did you get these collaborations with this so-and-so brand? How do you get paid to post? What is your strategy? Like,
Yeah.
can you teach me? Can you help me? I want to do it too. And just like I've just always been a natural teacher of just
Hmm.
sharing with people what I did. I never had that like competitive mindset. Like if I knew something, I was happy to share it. And I know a lot of influencers over the last few years didn't want to share secrets. They didn't want to share how they did it. They didn't want to
Yeah.
share anything because they were in fear of, okay, well, if I teach people how to do it, it's going to create more competition, more people are going to do it, less jobs for me. And
Yep.
coming from the modeling space, I had already known that, when I'm going into a casting, I know if I don't get picked for a job, it's not necessarily because of me. It's because I didn't fit the requirements of that
Right.
company, of that brand, of that client.
Yeah.
So if I'm teaching someone something and I'm not creating more competition for myself, it's more like there's just more people for that company and client to choose from that are the best fit. So if you don't get a job or booking or a collaboration or a sponsorship, sometimes it isn't because of just you. It's like you just weren't the right fit.
Yeah.
So I was happy to share all of that. And then over like a couple of months, it just became really prominent that people were coming to me for business and
Mhm.
not for fitness and
Yeah.
workout. And at the same time, I was honestly burning out in that space. Like
Yeah.
it got really tiring to always, whenever I was working out, something that I love to do with all my heart, it sucked to really have to film every workout, take pictures every day, do all that stuff. And
Yeah.
even creating content, and batch shooting and all that. I just got to a point where I'm like, gosh, I really just want to take fitness back for myself, but I love teaching business and helping people make money.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I came up with my first course, which was for influencers, teaching them how to do everything that I've done. And I just like kind of put it out there, sold it. And that's kind of what started it all. I was like, okay, people are buying this. And then people started coming to me that weren't influencers and just business owners, entrepreneurs. And they would say, Sam, I'm not an influencer, so I don't think this course is for me, but can you still help me? And I'm like, yeah, of course. It's literally a lot of the same stuff, just without
Right.
collaboration pitches and stuff like that. So created the next course. And from there, it just made sense. And then now that's what I'm doing full time, is helping entrepreneurs, not only and entrepreneurs and influencers, not only like launch their influencing thing or how to get paid to post, collaborations, all that, but also with entrepreneurs, teaching them how to even launch their online programs and courses. So
I love
that's
it.
kind of the story in a
I
nutshell.
love it. No, it's awesome. It is awesome. And it's like you said, I hope, ladies, I hope you paid attention to this. I would actually bookmark this. So go back to that part in the episode, what she said in terms of serving your audience, because you said it, you were literally creating your content based on what they were asking. Because
Mm-hmm.
I see it so many times with so many influencers and just in general, of anybody who is posting online, how much they're doing it for them and not for their audience. You see,
Yeah.
and we get so caught up. I mean, of course, we love our ideas. It's our
Mm-hmm.
ideas, it's our campaigns, they're like our babies. But just because you love it doesn't mean your audience loves it. And I know all of you who are listening, I know you've had those moments when you post something and you think it's brilliant and the engagement's like, eh. And then you post something where you're like, oh, it's okay. I'll just throw it up there for filler. And the engagement is like through the roof. And you're like, what? But it's because of what you said. It's staying on pulse with the audience and understanding what they need the most. And to be honest, that's how I Start First got unfolded, from hashtag all the way to the full blown business and boot camps, because I was just waiting on women to say, what else do you have? What else do you have? What else do you have? And we were serving
Mm-hmm.
them with whatever else they were asking for. So I absolutely love the fact that you're teaching that strategy. So if you were to give, maybe beginner influencers or some younger, a lot of my ladies who are listening are going to be sort of the idea to business or early stage businesses. So if you were to give them some, maybe like 3 top tips to start paying attention to on social media or creating their content, what would it be?
Oh, I love this question. I'm glad that you asked it, because right now, especially, I mean, this can work for any time, but I always love to have a pulse on where my audience is at. And the way that I do that is I always connect using Instagram stories, getting on video right now or at any point is the best way to build the like, know, and trust factor the fastest, and going live and stuff like that as well. But the one thing that I highly recommend is getting on stories and not only sharing your own problems and struggles that have to do with your niche, but once you do that, then you're able to ask your audience what their problems and struggles are with their niche. So for example, if I take my story of pivoting in my career and business, I would share that as a struggle. I would get on for like, 4 or 5 stories just talking about it. Like, hey guys, I just want to share the struggle that I went through last year, or this issue that I had. Like, I pivoted. It was really tough. I would be really like, I'd really open up about it. Like, share the worst things possible, the way that you felt, all of that. So I would share that story. And then I would ask, are you currently dealing with that situation too? Which is one, asking my audience, are they currently pivoting? Do I need to teach more on like the strategy of how to pivot in a way that is successful? And then after that, I would ask them in like in a question, using the questions gift on story. And I would just ask them, I was like, if not, what are you currently struggling with in your business? And I ask in business because I'm a business coach. So I want to answer struggles and problems with that. If you're in fitness, ask, what are your, like, if you're talking about weight loss or something like that, you can ask, what are your current struggles or problems with losing weight? Or, whatever niche you're in, you can tailor this exact process to that. And then what would happen is when people would start responding and putting in what they're struggling with, or DMing me their struggles or commenting their struggles, I would literally take every single one of those comments, DMs, suggestions, or whatever. I would put them in the notes section of my iPhone. I'd start just listing them all out. And there you have it. The only content you ever have to create is answering all of those problems and struggles. And I guarantee you, like, you will not only have a really engaged audience, but that is how you'll be able to create products, sell products, because you are literally posting to your ideal follower, client, buyer, and you're helping them. So it's so powerful when you do that, because you will never run out of ideas, and you're not just pulling things out of thin air thinking of, oh, this is what people want. Like, I've had multiple, even if you guys go to my latest Instagram post, I guarantee you on almost every single one of them, and this even happened to me the other day where I posted something about struggling, like, are you struggling with launching a program or offer? And I listed like, oh, are you feeling like super anxious or overwhelmed? Because I'd told my audience like a few days prior, like, how do you feel about launching your program or offer? And girls were saying, or guys were saying, oh gosh, I'm so nervous, I'm so scared. I literally took that verbiage, put it in my caption, and I'd literally get comments, oh my God, girl, you're really inside my head right now. That's exactly how I'm feeling because I'm launching. And I'm like, it's just really taking what your audience is telling you and put it into everything that you put out. And you'll be literally, you'll have that connection, and you'll really see like the results in that engagement too.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, because essentially, again, you're growing your engagement by literally talking to them, because it's not preaching at them. It's really talking to them. And I really believe that the more you engage the audience and the more, they start participating, the better results you're going to get. But I want to talk about something you mentioned a few times, is growing your audience, because I do feel like a lot of times, startups or young entrepreneurs feel really defeated, right? Like they're like, well, Sam, it's easy for you to talk about it. You probably have thousands and thousands of followers, and they all engaged, and they know why they're there, and they're following you for a reason. And I have my, 127, and I just, posted 2 posts this week, and my engagement is nothing. So what are some great ideas for growing your audience in the first place? Besides, that 10 years is overnight success, just like everybody, just like everybody thinks.
Some tips to grow your audience right now is, honestly, I love using the method of really doing outreach into Instagram. So for example, the first one's obvious, is just nurture the audience that you have. If you have 100 followers, just think about this. Think about 100 people in a room with you. That's a lot of people. Like the fact that 100 people are following you is huge. If you can nurture those 100, if you could like really respond to every comment, if you go and even like and comment all their stuff and be authentic about everything, obviously, but just nurturing that audience, you have to do that first, because if you can't nurture that audience, you won't be able to nurture 1,000, you won't be able to nurture 10,000. Like, it's just really impossible. So even if you have just 100, if you really nurtured them, and if you put out a product that was $500, $1,000, etc., like, you can make really good money just with like selling products to 100 people. So I'd like for you to think about is not about the mass volume, because for example, I have a pretty high following. I'm almost at 50K right now. And a lot of those people don't even pay attention to what I'm saying. I bet I'm not even showing up in their feed. And for me, it's like, gosh, I just wish all those people would unfollow me so I could just have my real targeted, ideal followers that listen and pay attention. So the first thing is just to nurture that. The second way, if you really want to grow, honest, there's a couple things that you can do. One, hashtag research is huge. So if you're not currently doing hashtag research on your post, you're honestly kind of you're missing out on a lot of eyeballs to your page. I gain honestly like 50 to 100 followers every time I post because I'm doing hashtag research. I'm landing and I'm ranking pretty frequently on either the Explore page, the hashtag pages, and in people's feeds. And I know this because I watch my analytics like every single day with like what posts are hitting well and what ones aren't. So think of hashtags as the mini Google search engines for Instagram. They are not dead. They definitely work, but you do have to use a platform to do that. Don't just try and come up with them on your own. So that's going to give you organic reach right away. Secondly, another thing that you can do is really start engaging not with people that aren't your followers yet. So what I used to do, and I do this still every now and then if I have a little bit extra time, is some of the hashtags that I follow, which is like maybe, for example, I'm a business coach, so I'd follow online business coach, hashtag online business coach. You can follow them. Those hashtags, I would go to that aggregated page. I'd kind of skim through and see, okay, who could be my ideal client or ideal follower that I would want them to tune into my stuff because I know it would help them. So I'd go through posts. Maybe I'd find about 10 accounts that I would go to, maybe like a few things and find a post that really resonates with me or what they're going through. I'll comment on it, and that will kind of start bringing relationships back to your page to grow organically. And then another thing, collaboration. Like if you're trying to get your post out there, collaborate with others. If you're in a community of any sort, get into Facebook groups, get into just different groups on Instagram, reach out to a couple of your friends in the same niche or maybe even different niches and be like, hey guys, like we should like shout each other out on stories or post each other's content. The more often that you get mentioned in someone else's story, the better, because instantly your post is going out to their entire network. And with that, I would have call to actions in your posts or in your story. Say, hey, share this post to your story. When you tell people what to do, you can train your audience to start doing it over and over and over. Like for the first few weeks or something like that, if you're being very consistent with it, you might hear crickets. But the more consistently that you do it, people will start doing what you tell them to do.
Yeah, I love it. All of those ladies, like I said, I would re-listen to the last 5 minutes, take some notes, save it, because she pretty much gave you a few $1,000s worth of training right now, exactly step by step. Because even if you do those 3 things that Samantha mentioned right now and just stay consistent. And I mean, notice she didn't say you posted once and you wait. It's not how it works. You really, I mean, it's consistency, just like with anything, right? I mean, building digital presence is no different than building a business. And you have to be consistent. You have to show up for your audience, because a lot of times, I hear that from clients all the time or from women in my bootcamp where they're like, well, I did it 3 posts and I didn't hear anything, or they weren't good enough. Well, I mean, if you told me you did 300, I might have considered, some kind of showcase of sorts, but 3 is probably not the number we're looking for. So yeah, it's just, I love that fact that you're saying, staying consistent and being there, because again, I love the example you used with 100 people in the room, right? We get so bombarded, and so hung up on numbers that we forget on top of it that if every one of those 100 people reposted your story, they probably exposed you to at least another 100 people in their community, which means you've just been exposed 10x, which allows you to now build numbers even from that small following if you nurture it properly. And also, I'm sure you talk about that all the time. To me, conversions and engagement are so much more important, right? I mean, having numbers is great, and people seem to be very high off that. But if you are not having an audience that's engaged or meaningful or aligned with you, then the point is kind of lost in the first place. So can you talk a little bit more about difference with just having big numbers or having engagement and conversion?
Yeah. So right now, I would be paying attention more to, with the stuff that you put out on Instagram, your posts, look at the bookmarks and the shares. That's what's the most important right now. That's what I would pay attention to. So I wouldn't worry about the numbers. Yes, having bigger numbers is going to help in the long run of things. Like, for example, if you want to get on podcasts, speak on
Yeah.
stages, get put in magazines, etc. Like, yeah, when you have a bigger following, like that's going to help you out. But at the same time, those numbers aren't going to help pay your bills at
Yeah.
all. So I would really like, I have girls, some of my students that have like 500 followers and they're having 10K, 20K launches with their products. Like, don't worry so much about the numbers because, for example, when I pivoted, when I went from being a fitness influencer to being a business coach, I went from getting thousands of likes, thousands of followers every single week, to literally crickets. Like I would maybe like when I went from posting sports bras and leggings and all that to posting like businessy outfits, like, just even something like this, I went to like maybe 50 likes a post. And for me, that was for like 3 months, maybe 4 months. Like that's like, and I'm a coach that says, don't worry about the numbers. But here I am internally dying because I'm like, oh my God, like no one's liking this. This is so embarrassing. Everyone can see it. I'm failing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, just stick with it because those 50 people that liked it, they're the ones that are eventually like going to invest with me.
Right.
And when my engagement went down because I started niching down my messaging to where I wanted to go, my bank account went up and I did no longer care about how many, less likes that I got or less followers that I got. People started unfollowing me. I was like, good, bye, because you following me and not engaging, that hurts my engagement.
That's right.
So that's to keep something in mind. Your engagement might drop, but your bank account should be going up if you're doing things the right way. And that's at the end of the day, that's like the most thing that matters most is you're making an impact, you're helping change people's lives, and you're making an income doing it.
I love it. Oh my God. This last piece, mic drop. Seriously. Yes. The engagement goes down, the bank account goes up is what everybody wants because yes, you cannot cash those follows out in the bank. And yeah, like you said, the more if they drop because they were not aligned with you in the first place, please let them. I always say that. And I'm very transparent, just like you. I share a lot in my stories and I've had DMs sent to me where women are saying, you rubbed me the wrong way or I felt that it was really like, kind of triggering me. And I'm like, great, because my goal is really not to build the tribe for everyone. That's not my goal. I can't possibly serve every woman out there. My goal is to find women who are aligned, who want to do it and, see the value in what I'm providing. So don't be scared. And that's why I love what Sam brought up. Don't be scared to lose people in the process because yes, the more you niche down, the more specific and clear you become on your value and your purpose and what you're trying to deliver, the better it's going to be for you in the long run. I love all of this. It's so, so good. Seriously. And obviously we are going to put all your, links in bio where women can find you because all the value you provided and, everything that you've shared. So what would you say, couple of things. So a lot of people have that life. I mean, especially women, because we get so emotional very quickly. We have this love-hate relationship, right? With building social media, because on one hand, it's such an extraordinary tool. It allows you to do that freedom, like you said, to have that opportunity. But on the other hand, we feel so stressed out by it sometimes. And we're like, okay, this is it. I'm shutting it down. I'm walking away. I don't need this. So what would you say is your favorite thing about building digital presence and then your least favorite?
My favorite thing is all the friendships and connections that I've made in my life. Like literally, like when I moved to LA, I knew 2 people. And thanks to social media, I built my entire tribe. I built my business. I've even met you just through social media and having, the connections. And so that is the beauty of it. The worst thing about it, this was more of like when I was a lot younger, when I would get the negative comments or stuff like that. People, they're keyboard warriors and stuff like that. So that was the worst thing about social media for me. But I learned how to navigate that space, with like the demon mindset work, or just like know that when people are saying negative things or something like that, it's really not about me. It's like, it's about them. So I think that's the worst. But I think ultimately, if you can find that healthy balance of how to use it, because I know social media does stress out a lot of people. And it is like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to post today, or I can't believe I have to do this. there is a way to use social media in a way that is fun, that's exciting. Like I love going on stories. I love when I post because I know what I'm doing is making an impact. And I know that my goal is to help more people. So if you're feeling stressed or just don't like social media or whatever, it's like, ask yourself like why, and just keep asking that why question of why, and just figure that part out. If it's because you have to post every day, well then change it. Like you don't have to post on social media every day. Show up in stories every day. Like that really helps. But if you only have to post to your feed maybe 3 times a week, batch content and plan it out. So you set it for the week and it's not really a stressor in your life. So I think with anything, it's just finding what works for you.
Yeah.
But if you get to a point where you're feeling negative about it or something like that, it's time to do some inner work on why you're feeling that way and just make a change.
I love it. So that's so good. Yes. And I mean, I love the fact that you said it's not a prescriptive mode, right? If it doesn't work for you, don't get stuck on that. Don't get hung up on just that one thing. Find out what that balance. And it's so true because I literally have seen it. I'm sure you've seen it with clients. I have clients who do better on posting 3 times a week because they engage and excited and that energy comes through versus when they're like prescriptively posting 7 days a week because some guru said so. It doesn't align with them. They don't have the content. They throw fillers there that don't make any sense. So yeah, I love everything about that. So, so good, Sam. Now, I know there are women out there who are listening right now and who are like, listen, I know I want to do this. This is sounds awesome what she's built. I wish I could be Sam when I grow up. So if there's a boss babe out there who's listening right now and wants to build something similar to what you've built, what would be an advice that you give her?
Just start. Take messy action. Like honestly, like just do it. And be consistent. Know that if you're just getting started, it's going to take time to get traction, especially now on social media, especially Instagram with the algorithm and everything. But I'll tell you this, if you do all the things that you're supposed to, like if you do the posts, get on stories, use lives, really do that, the algorithm will turn into your favor. So just start, because at the end of the day, like if you have that desire deep inside where you're like, oh my God, I want to do it, but I'm so scared. I'm so nervous. Like, what if people are going to make fun of me? What if people hate it? What if people don't agree? Don't worry about that. The fact that you're even feeling that way means that whatever you have to say needs to come out and the world needs to hear it. And I always say this, where with you holding back and not sharing, it's really selfish. Like someone out there is waiting for you to speak, for you to share, for you to give your knowledge and insight. And pretty much whenever I go to post anything, I just say to myself, if this just helps one person, if one person is inspired by this post, or it changes the trajectory of their life or whatever, like that's my goal, like just to help at least one person. And I can't do that if I don't put it out there and share. So just start, take messy action, and it will all come together.
I love it. Take messy action, ladies. I mean, there is a reason she's on I Start First show right now. So I love it. Thank you so much, Sam. Like I said, we will absolutely include everything, all the links Sam wants us to put in there, social media, all the courses she's offering, so you guys can find her. She's amazing. As you can tell, she has no problem serving from the heart. She's sharing and oversharing and over-delivering on everything. So I thank you so, so much for being here with me today and being willing to share your wisdom with the tribe.
Thank you so, so much. This was so great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to I Start First podcast. If you loved it as much as I did, feel free to tag us on Instagram at IStartFirst_. Share it with your besties, and if you feel so compelled, give us that 5-star review on iTunes. Till next time, and like always, kick ass and sparkle up.